Good day once again, and welcome to Learning Unit 2, Introduction to Domestic and Global Sourcing. I hope you're doing well, and today we gather here to delve into the fascinating world of domestic and global sourcing. In an interconnected and rapidly evolving global economy, understanding how businesses acquire and manage their resources is of paramount importance. Sourcing refers to the process of procuring goods, services, or inputs necessary for the production or operation of a business. It involves identifying, evaluating, and selecting suppliers or vendors who can meet the organization's requirements efficiently and effectively. Both domestic and global sourcing play an integral role in this process, offering distinct advantages and challenges that we will explore together. Domestic sourcing primarily involves procuring goods and services from suppliers within the same country or region where the business operates. It offers several benefits, such as supporting local industries, ensuring faster delivery times, minimizing transportation costs, and maintaining control over the supply chain. Additionally, domestic sourcing always aligns with the local regulations and quality standards, fostering trust and promoting corporate social responsibility. Theme breakdown and learning objectives. We are going to be defining strategic sourcing as it relates to supply chain management. You have to understand sourcing decisions to make or buy. We are going to be discussing the drivers for buying and making in supply chain management. We are going to be identifying the factors used in supplier selection, performance matrix or criteria. We are going to be explaining the supplier base. We are going to be understanding the reasons favoring single suppliers and multiple suppliers in supply chain management. We are going to be explaining strategic sourcing, and to mention a few. Right, what is sourcing? Sourcing is the process of identifying, selecting, and developing suppliers. It can be tactical and operational, applying to low-level procurement decisions that may relate to low-risk, non-critical items or services. Adding to that, sourcing has different meanings depending on the context. But in general, it refers to the process of obtaining, acquiring, or procuring goods, services, information, or resources from external or internal sources. It involves identifying, evaluating, and selecting the most suitable suppliers, vendors, or partners to meet specific needs or requirements. I hope it's clear, ladies and gentlemen. In the business context, sourcing typically involves finding and establishing relationships with suppliers who can provide the necessary materials, components, or finished products at competitive prices, while also meeting quality standards and delivery schedules. This process may involve activities such as supplier research, negotiation, contract management, and ongoing supplier performance evaluation. In the context of information or data, sourcing refers to the process of collecting, gathering, and verifying information from various sources such as documents, databases, interviews, surveys, online resources, to mention a few. Sourcing information involves assessing the reliability and credibility of sources to ensure accuracy and validity. Strategic sourcing management process that continuously improves and re-evaluates the purchasing activities of a company. We are looking at managing, developing, and integrating with supplier capability. The next subtopic and very important concept in supply chain management, ladies and gentlemen, is outsourcing. It refers to buying materials or components from suppliers instead of making them in-house. It is a business practice where a company or organization delegates certain tasks, functions, or processes to an external entity or third-party service provider. Instead of performing these activities in-house, the company contracts with another company or individual to handle them on its behalf. The tasks or processes that are commonly outsourced can vary widely and may include functions such as information technology services, customer support, manufacturing, accounting, human resources, data entry, marketing, or any other non-core business activity. Backward vertical integration is acquiring upstream suppliers. Forward vertical integration involves acquiring downstream customers. And in making, it involves activities which are performed within the organization. Moving on to the next subtopic, ladies and gentlemen, drivers of outsourcing. What necessitates outsourcing? So the first one is cost consideration. When is it cheaper to buy than to make? The next point is limited facilities. This is when there are inadequate facilities or lack of production capacity to meet anticipated demand. The next one is lack of expertise, very common, when staff knowledge or skills are inadequate. The next one is quality, where business may take advantage of suppliers with better technology processes, skilled labor, and economies of scale. The next one is core business, when the organization has to put primary priorities on core business activities. The next subtopic is drivers of making. The first point under drivers of making is lower cost. And this is when it is cheaper to produce the products or service. And having the availability of technology and labor at low costs. Next point is lack of competent suppliers. This is when there are no or few reliable suppliers. Suppliers lack technology or capacity to produce. Next point is protecting firms' technology. We are saying firms invest in technology as a way of improving processes. Next point is unreliable suppliers. And this is when vendors' shipment constantly arrive late, incomplete, and damaged. The next point is better quality control. We are looking at when the firm's quality requirements are so stringent, suppliers cannot meet them, and firms are capable of controlling design, manufacturing processes, and labor. The next point is design secrecy. When firms are keeping secret regarding certain aspects of the part of design or manufacture. An example is Coca-Cola. What are the benefits of outsourcing? The first one is it reduces costs. It reduces staff costs. It increases flexibility. Higher levels of service performance, generating greater customer satisfaction. It reduces capital requirement, gives access to technology and commercial best practice, reduces risks. And what are the risks of outsourcing also? There's issues of overdependence on suppliers, lack of supplier flexibility, lack of cost and process control, unrealistic expectations, poor performance, lack of clarity on specifications, standards or descriptions, loss of confidentiality, or what we might call leakage of sensitive data. So what are the factors that we consider when selecting suppliers under outsourcing or under sourcing? The first one is product and process technologies. Is the organization willing to share information and technologies? Quality issues, cost-related issues, reliability of that organization, order system and cycle time, capacity, communication capabilities, location, of course, and service. Moving on to Learning Unit 2, Theme 2, and it deals with supplier selection and development. The following are the outcomes and what the examiner wants us to know. We'll explain the supplier base in supply chain management. We have to understand the reasons for favoring single suppliers and multiple suppliers in supply chain management. We have to explain the strategic sourcing process. A supplier base refers to a group of suppliers or vendors that a company relies on to provide goods, services, or raw materials to support its operations. It represents the network of relationships established by a company with external entities that contribute to its supply chain. The supplier base can vary in size and composition depending on the industry and the company's specific needs. It typically includes a range of suppliers who specialize in different areas such as manufacturing, distribution, wholesalers, or service providers. These suppliers may vary, may be local, they may be national or global, depending on the company's reach and requirements. Factors that influence an organization's supplier base are the core competencies of the organization, single or multiple, and collaborative decisions. Make outsourcing and subcontracting decisions. You are also looking at risk issues, especially in relation to continuity of supply. BBEE, broad-based black economic empowerment issues. International and global sourcing. And moving on to optimization of that same concept of supplier base now. We are saying supplier base optimization or rationalization is concerned with determining the appropriate number of suppliers with whom the purchaser will do business with. Supplier base optimization is the process of strategically managing and improving the network of suppliers that an organization works with. It involves evaluating and selecting suppliers, developing relationships, and continuously monitoring and improving supplier performance to maximize value and minimize risk. By optimizing the supplier base, organizations can improve operational efficiency, reduce costs, enhance product quality, mitigate supply chain risks, and foster innovation. It requires a systematic and proactive approach to supplier management with a focus on long-term relationships and value creation. Moving on to single sourcing versus multiple sourcing, a comparison of single sourcing and multiple sourcing. Single sourcing refers to the practice of concentrating the purchases of an item with one source from a pool of many potential suppliers. In the context of supply chain management, single sourcing refers to the practice of procuring materials, components, or services from a single supplier or vendor. By consolidating purchases from one source, organizations aim to streamline their procurement processes, negotiate better prices, ensure a reliable supply of goods or services. Single sourcing can provide benefits such as cost saving, simplified logistics, stronger relationships with suppliers. However, it also carries the risk of overdependence on a single source, making the organization vulnerable to disruptions if the source becomes unavailable or encounters problems that are unavoidable. Overall, single sourcing is a strategic approach that seeks to maximize efficiency, consistency, and cost effectiveness by centralizing information or consolidating procurement with a single source. The specific implementation and benefits may vary depending on the industry and context in which it is applied. Reasons favoring the use of a single source. The first one is establishing relationships. It's easy for a firm to establish mutuality in strategic alliance, especially when the firm can benefit from the supplier's technology and capabilities. Then there's also issues to do with less quality variability. Quality varies less due to the use of the same technology and processes to produce parts. There is also an issue of lower cost, where you concentrate the purchasing volume with the supplier, which results in lower purchase cost per unit if the components require special tooling or are expensive. There is also economies to do with transport, where we take advantage of truckload shipments due to concentrating volumes as they are cheaper per unit than less than a truckload. There's also issues of proprietary product or process purchases. The firm has no choice but to buy from the sole source if it is a proprietary product or process, or the supplier holds the patent to the product or process. Another issue is when volume is too small to split, if the requirement is too small. Then we move on to multiple suppliers. What is multiple suppliers? What is multiple supplying? The practice of using two or more, or even many suppliers to purchase certain components. Reasons favoring multiple suppliers. There's issues to do with capacity. When demand exceeds capacity of a single supplier. There's also an issue to do with spreading the risk. In this case, we are allowing the firm to spread the risk of supply interruptions due to strikes, quality problems, or maybe political instability. Another issue is competition, where you are encouraging competition among suppliers in terms of price, quality. Another issue is information. We are saying multiple suppliers usually have more information about market conditions, new product developments, new process technologies, what we call market intelligence. And in dealing with special kinds of businesses, giving other firms the opportunity to deliver. Identify or re-evaluate the needs, define or evaluate users' requirements, decide to make or buy, identify the type of purchase, conduct a market analysis, identify possible suppliers, pre-screen suppliers, evaluate the remaining supply base, choose the supplier, deliver the product or perform the service, post the purchase or make performance evaluation. Key performance indicators for supply chain supply evaluation, KPIs. So we identify or re-evaluate needs, define or evaluate users' requirements, decide to make or buy, identify the type of purchase, conduct a market analysis, identify possible suppliers, pre-screen suppliers, evaluate the remaining suppliers, choose suppliers, deliver product, post-purchase, or make a performance evaluation. Moving on to the last and final theme of Learning Unit 2, global sourcing. What you see are the listed Learning Unit outcomes. They represent what the examiner wants you to know after the Learning Unit or theme completion. So the first thing is you need to know how to define global sourcing. And we are saying global sourcing is the integration, coordination of requirements across worldwide business units. Looking at common items, process technologies, and suppliers. Global sourcing refers to the practice of procuring goods, services, or resources from different countries or regions around the world in order to take advantage of various factors such as cost savings, specialized expertise, and availability. It involves identifying and selecting suppliers or vendors from multiple locations globally to meet the needs of a business or organization. Global sourcing has become increasingly popular due to advancements in transportation, communication, and the liberalization of trade. It allows companies to access a wide range of suppliers and tap into global markets to find the most competitive prices, high quality products, and specialized skills. The process of global sourcing typically involves conducting market research to identify potential suppliers, evaluating their capabilities, negotiating contracts and terms, managing logistics, ensuring compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. It requires a thorough understanding of international trade practices, customs procedures, and cultural differences. I hope that is clear, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to the next subtopic here, where we want to differentiate domestic and international purchasing. So, global sourcing refers to the practice of procuring goods, services, or resources from different countries around the world in order to take advantage of various factors such as cost savings, specialized expertise, availability, and all. It involves identifying, selecting suppliers or vendors from multiple locations globally to meet the needs of a business organization, as discussed earlier. Global sourcing has become increasingly popular due to advancements in transportation, communication, and trade liberalization. It allows companies to access a wide range of suppliers and tap into global markets to find the most competitive prices, high quality products, and specialized skills. The process of global sourcing typically involves conducting market research to identify potential suppliers, evaluating their capabilities, negotiating contracts, terms, managing logistics, ensuring compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. It requires a thorough understanding of international trade practices and customs procedures. You also need to understand cultural differences. So why do organizations engage into global sourcing? We're looking at the reasons for global sourcing. Quality issues. So this involves lack of human resources and technology to produce the required products in the domestic market. An example is your Apple, Nike. They manufacture their products in China. The second point there is lower cost. Availability of foreign competition from low-cost producers who enjoys the economy of scales or low-cost inputs, cheap labor material, favorable exchange rates, and efficient processes. The next point is technological advancement, where we are looking at access to emerging global technology, improved research and development infrastructure, human capital as it displays economies of scale. The next point is larger product range. Many suppliers can produce the product and satisfy the peak demands. There's also creation of alliances, strategic alliances, where we are looking at developing an adequate supply base. Increasing number of suppliers a firm can choose to avoid disruption and benefit from cost reduction, access to technology, and expanding the supply base. There is also another subtopic where we are going to be discussing risk drivers in international purchasing. What drives risk in global purchasing? So the first point there is culture and communications, procurement risk, delays, inventory risk, intellectual property risks, disruptions, quality risk, higher costs of doing business, systems risk, to mention a few. Moving on to components in global logistics environment. So there are micro components and macro components. And in the micro environment, we have elements that we can control. For example, suppliers, competitors, customers, creditors, the community, trade unions, the government, global intermediaries, stockholders, to mention a few. And moving on to the macro environment, these are uncontrollable elements now, elements that we cannot control. The first one is political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. Moving on to the important matter, the important subject in this learning unit or in this theme, global entry strategies. Global entry strategies refer to the methods and approaches that companies use to enter and establish a presence in international markets. These strategies are designed to help companies navigate the complexities of entering foreign markets, mitigating risks, and maximizing their chances of succeeding. The first one there is exporting, and this is the most common one. This strategy involves producing goods or services in the home country and selling them to customers in foreign markets. It can be done directly, which is direct exporting, or through intermediaries, which is indirect exporting. The second one is licensing. This is whereby companies can license their intellectual property, such as patents, trademarks, or technology, to foreign partners. In return, partners pay royalties or licensing fees. This strategy allows companies to enter foreign markets with the minimal investment and risk. Third one is franchising. Similar to licensing, but different. Franchising involves the granting of rights to use the company's brand, business model, and operational systems to a local franchisee. The franchisee pays fees and royalties to the franchisor in exchange for support and access to established business processes, your KFC, your McDonald's, to mention a few. The next one is joint ventures. It is a partnership between a domestic company and a foreign company to form a new entity in the foreign market. Both parties contribute resources, share risks and rewards, and collaborate to achieve common business objectives. Next one is alliances, strategic alliances. These alliances involve collaborations between two or more companies to pursue mutual interests. These alliances can take various forms, such as marketing alliances, distribution alliances, warehousing alliances, or research and development partnerships. They provide companies with shared resources, knowledge, and market access. Then there is foreign direct investment. Then another point there is wholly owned subsidiaries, or what we might call foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment occurs when a company directly invests in establishing operations in a foreign country. This can involve setting up a manufacturing facility, acquiring existing companies, or establishing wholly owned subsidiaries. Foreign direct investment allows companies to have greater control over their operations, but requires significant investment and carries higher risk. There is also another topic which deals with documentation for international purchasing procedures. What documents do we use when we engage into international purchasing? The first one is the contract itself, the agreement. The sales contract establishes the terms between the buyer and the seller. It describes the product, language of use, pricing, payment, insurance, and legal systems. There is also the certificate of origin. It is issued by the exporter or its agent. It certifies the origin of the product and ensures that favorable tariffs and duties between two countries are correctly applied. The import license regulates the purchasing and import of products, including military equipment, hazardous goods, license issued by the government. And then there is also the bill of lading. It is issued by the carrier. It represents the transportation contract between the carrier and the exporter. It specifies quantity, weight, destination, party to receive the goods, to mention a few. There is also the invoice, or what we might call the commercial invoice. It is issued by the exporter, which includes on contents of the container or shipment and used by customs to inspection purposes or for inspection purposes. And the buyer also uses it to make sure that the order has been fully received. There is also a packing list. It provides information on the contents of the container and also used by the inspection purposes through customs. There is also inspection documents, and these contain various regulations, for example, health regulations. Moving on to payment methods. There are various payment methods that organizations can use. The first one is letter of credit. It is a legal instrument constituting a cash guarantee, obligating the bank to make a payment to a named beneficiary within a specified time frame when documents such as bill of lading, certificate of quality, insurance origin, packing lists are presented. There is also what we call an open account. It is similar to home transactions in which goods are shipped and documents remitted to the buyer with an invoice for payment on previously agreed terms. It occurs when foreign suppliers provide goods on open account to international buyers with whom they have built a long relationship with. There is also the use of drafts or bills of exchange. They are handed to the exporter for payment, and the draft needed to be honored before it expired. And the bill of lading and other documents should accompany the draft. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this lecture on domestic and global sourcing has highlighted the key considerations and implications associated with both approaches. Domestic sourcing refers to the practice of procuring goods or services within one's country, while global sourcing involves obtaining them from international markets. Ultimately, successful sourcing strategies require careful analysis, continuous evaluation, and adaptation to evolving market dynamics. By understanding the advantages and challenges associated with global sourcing and domestic sourcing, businesses can make informed decisions that align with their organizational goals and drive long-term success in an increasingly interconnected world. I hope you enjoyed this session and see you next time. Thank you very much and have a good day.